Hello guys, welcome to my humble YouTube channel where I bring you fanfiction that will brighten your days. Before we start, a subscribe is greatly appreciated, and don't forget to leave a like and ring the bell icon so you won't miss exciting new fanfiction stories. The Saint of War, Tensura x DxD, by Kischur Chapter 21. Lucifod, the capital city of the Devil faction, was once the home of the original Satan. It was here that Lucifer, the mightiest of the fallen angels before his transformation into devilhood, first landed after being banished from the kingdom in the clouds and established the powerful Devil faction. For many, Lucifod's status as the capital was tied to its historical significance, prompting some nobles and commoners to advocate for a new capital, Lilith. This proposal was rejected by both the Zechrim and the new Satans, a rare consensus between the factions that left many puzzled. The decision was based on the city's deeper significance, which the new Satans only understood through revelations from the progenitor devil and Graphia Lucifuge, Sirzechs, Lucifer's new wife. Consequently, Lucifod was to remain the capital, with its defenses strengthened by Ajuka Beelzebub and Falbium Asmodeus. Zechrim agreed to a non-conflict pact regarding Lucifod's defenses, placing trust in the new Satans to protect this crucial location. Despite protests, Lucifod's continued status as the capital is largely due to what lies beneath it. In the human world, the Underworld was once seen as a place where evil souls were tormented, a belief that held true until the rise of the Devil faction. Some factions still use the Underworld for the dead, such as the Greek Underworld, which exists in a separate dimension connected to the main Underworld. After Lucifer's fall, the Underworld became inhospitable for human souls due to the brutality of the old devils. Elohim, the god of heaven, chose purgatory, the land of demons and souls, as the new realm for evil souls. Purgatory is connected to the Underworld through Lucifod, particularly its castle. In a realm situated between the Underworld and Purgatory, both Sirzechs Lucifer and Ajuka Beelzebub have undertaken the task of meeting with the demons of Purgatory. "Do you think this is a good idea?" Sirzechs asked Ajuka, his concern evident. "With the information from Lord Baal and Graphia, we know the demons of Purgatory might not welcome us into their realm without some form of trade." Graphia had described Purgatory's demons as battle maniacs who only heed those more powerful than themselves. Their unique nature, being able to revive in Purgatory, made them formidable opponents, one that even Lucifer Morningstar, at his peak, would have avoided. This reality unsettled both Sirzechs and Ajuka. Despite surpassing their predecessor in power, they knew that Lucifer had lost much of his strength after his defeat by Archangel Michael, which diminished further when he became a devil. Sirzechs, having only indirect knowledge of Lucifer's true strength, compared himself to the fallen angel's prime, where he was said to have been powerful enough to challenge both Daedrig and Albion simultaneously. The frequent duels between Lucifer and Michael in heaven typically ended in draws or were inconclusive. The decisive factor in Lucifer's loss to Michael was divine intervention, where God empowered Michael, leading to his victory. Sirzechs pondered, "Lord Lucifer, just how powerful were you really?" Since becoming the new Satan, Sirzechs had taken pride in his strength, which was said to surpass that of the devil himself. However, learning about Lucifer's true power in heaven left him feeling insecure about his own claims of surpassing the devil. Ajuka, like his friend, is reflecting on the words of the ancient devil. The ancient devil king of the Devil faction lost much of his power when he fell and lost even more when he became a devil. Ajuka can barely imagine how powerful he must have been at his prime. Ajuka is particularly struck by the devil's grace, now known as noble power, Morningstar. This ability to transform any substance into anything is astounding, especially considering the feats Lucifer achieved in heaven. It's unfortunate that Lucifer lost this power, but he gained another formidable ability in exchange: demonic brilliance of evil light. This power not only grants immunity to light and holy powers but also allows Lucifer to unleash a beam of light that consumes everything in its path. This ability surpasses even the Baal family's power of destruction. This is why all four great Satans are taking the potential war with heaven very seriously. They managed to defeat Prime Lucifer and his army of fallen, a feat that even Sirzechs could not achieve in his current state. Ajuka notices his friend's insecurity about facing such an overwhelming opponent. "Pull yourself together," Ajuka advises. "Even if Lord Lucifer was stronger, that doesn't mean you've become weaker. It means you need to train harder and surpass the devil himself." His friend, reassured, manages a small smile. "Thanks, Ajuka," he says. Ajuka responds with a smile before returning to his serious demeanor. Sirzechs also becomes more focused as he senses a change in the surrounding energy. "So, this is it?" Sirzechs asks. "Yeah, from now on, we need to be prepared for battle at any moment," Ajuka replies. "Don't let your guard down." Sirzechs nods, readying himself for any potential confrontation with the demons of purgatory. Ajuka also prepares, focusing on his Kankara formula, as they both brace for the imminent conflict. In a place that could easily be described as Antarctica on Hell, a realm of eternal winter and ice stretches out, so frigid that even ultimate-class entities struggle to survive. This land is notorious for its lethal conditions, capable of killing beings of ultimate and even Satan class with ease. It is a region so extreme, even by purgatory's standards, that only the strongest can endure its harshness. Here, in this land of perpetual frost, the strongest demon has taken residence, surrounded by his loyal followers. Within this frozen domain stands a grand and beautiful castle made entirely of pure ice. Inside this magnificent castle, there is a throne, its grandeur and simplicity unmatched, save perhaps by the throne of the second strongest. Sitting upon this icy throne is a striking figure, a handsome man with blood-red eyes that gleam like stars of gold and silver dancing in them. His wavy, burning hair is a deep shade of rouge, and his tall frame exudes both pride and distance beauty. His appearance conveys a sense of leadership and conquest. Draped in clothes that reveal much of his skin, he is Guy Crimson, the Lord of Darkness, the primordial demon of Rouge, and the strongest demon of Purgatory. "This is interesting," Guy mused to himself, sensing the incoming power levels. The energy radiating from the approaching devils was both potent and cautious, indicating they were prepared for a confrontation. He turned his attention to the demon closest to him, a striking figure with shoulder-length red hair, an expected trait for someone of his lineage. "You," Guy commanded, his tone authoritative but curious. "Go meet our guests before the others do. Find out what they want and challenge them on my behalf. I want to see how powerful they truly are." The demon, showing no hesitation or resistance, bowed deeply before the throne. The other demons around them watched with a hint of envy as the man prepared to leave. "It shall be done, my lord," he responded before vanishing in a flash of teleportation, heading toward the intruders. As the demon disappeared, Guy remained seated, a faint smile playing on his lips. He was eager to see how this encounter would unfold and was ready to be entertained by the unfolding drama. When the duo of Satans finally arrived in Purgatory, they couldn't help but marvel at what lay before them. Despite its depiction in numerous texts by gods and mortals as a realm of eternal suffering, Purgatory proved to be far more complex. Instead of the unrelenting torment described in books, they encountered a striking blend of chaos and order. One side of Purgatory was indeed as nightmarish as described, but the other side was a serene and breathtaking landscape that could rival even heaven in its beauty. This stark contrast caught them off guard, momentarily distracting them from the approaching presence of power. "So, these are the devils that have arrived. Quite powerful," a voice said, drawing the attention of both Satans. They turned to see a strikingly handsome man with shoulder-length red hair, a detail they noted immediately. Red hair, so he must be from the Rouge lineage, they thought. Having been educated about demons and their culture by the ancient Baal, they recognized the man as a high-ranking member of the Red lineage based on the power he was casually radiating. "Remember this, Lord Sirzechs, demons are battle maniacs who only respect strength. To meet the primordial demons, you need to prove you're not a weakling who can be easily trampled." Taking Graphia's words to heart, Sirzechs narrowed his eyes at the demon before him and floated forward, drawing both the devil's and demon's attention. "Who might you be, demon?" Sirzechs asked, seeking to learn the man's name before engaging in combat. The demon, annoyed by the question, unleashed a massive wave of energy that caused Ajuka to recoil slightly. Sirzechs, however, hardened his stance, readying himself for battle. "It's quite arrogant of you to ask for my name, brat," the demon growled. In response, Sirzechs released his own power and transformed into his strongest form, the literal incarnation of destruction. "Then let's see if this brat is merely arrogant or truly confident." With that, the two combatants charged at each other, prepared to settle their supremacy in battle. "Well said," the demon exclaimed, clearly relishing the confrontation. Ajuka watched the display of power with admiration, but before he could fully appreciate the spectacle, he sensed another demon approaching from behind. Turning to face this new threat, he saw a beautiful woman with black hair exuding a power that seemed to surpass even Seraphal Leviathans. Given what I've seen so far, she's likely holding back a significant portion of her power, Ajuka thought. She's probably at least superclass, on par with the Red Demon. Ajuka readied himself, enveloped in a green glow of demonic energy with magic circles floating around him. "So, you're my opponent, Black Demon?" Ajuka addressed her. The woman smiled, raising her hand in a gesture of readiness. "Quite. Now let's see your power, little devil." With a hint of mockery in her voice, the battle between devil and demon commenced. Back in the Underworld, with Sirzechs and Ajuka away negotiating with the demons of purgatory, the two queens of the Satans had stepped up to fill their roles. Graphia was handling her husband's responsibilities, while Michelle, Ajuka's queen, continued his work in research and development. Her focus was on countering or at least developing resistance to holy energy, though this endeavor was proving difficult. Meanwhile, the other Satans, Seraphal Leviathan and Falbium Asmodeus, were engaged in their own tasks. Surprisingly, the most active individual at the moment was Falbium Asmodeus, the laziest person in the Underworld. As the head of the Department of War, it was his job to create a formidable army capable of defending the Underworld even in the absence of the Satans on the battlefield. This task was more challenging than it might seem. The prolonged peace following the mythological wars and the Devil Civil War had caused many devils to become complacent, leading them to cut corners in their training, a situation that frustrated Falbium, even though he was guilty of the same. To address this, Falbium had become highly involved in the Underworld's preparations for war, personally training troops and instructing future commanders and captains. Given his brilliance, Falbium knew he couldn't manage every army across the globe alone. Therefore, he was focusing on preparing the future leaders to command various units effectively. As for Seraphal, her connections to the Seatree household allowed her to leverage her position as Satan to establish numerous military hospitals throughout the Underworld. These hospitals were stocked with Phoenix tears, which were now being mass-produced by the Phoenix household, a measure that Seraphal and other noble houses had insisted upon to maximize their chances of winning the impending war. With the approach of war, the military industry in the Underworld was booming. Numerous weapon manufacturers were thriving, thanks in part to the influence of the Great King faction, which sought to amass significant wealth while also equipping their own armies for the upcoming conflict. At present, Seraphal Leviathan and Zekrom Bael, the heads of the Devil faction, were in a private meeting. For the first time in a long while, Zekrom felt small. As the head of the Great King faction and the oldest devil, he was accustomed to being seen as superior, with the exception of his fellow ancestral devils and the original four Satans. However, in the presence of Seraphal, who was known for her easygoing nature and love for magical girls, he felt a stark contrast. With the war looming, Seraphal had shed her lighthearted demeanor and revealed her true power. Her presence alone was overwhelming, making even Zekrom feel insignificant. He knew that Seraphal was on the brink of reaching superclass, a level of power he could only imagine. This made him wonder about the true strength of the two strongest Satans, who had been steadily growing more powerful since the Devil Civil War. Sirzechs had even claimed that he could easily defeat his younger self using only a fraction of his current power. An extraordinary assertion that Zekrom could not dismiss, given Sirzechs' own honesty being his fatal flaw. Despite the unease this caused him, Zekrom felt a sense of relief that the current Satans were not tyrants like their predecessors. As the war approached, he considered the need to adjust his control over certain matters. His thoughts were interrupted when Seraphal began to speak. As expected from Fabi Chan, the pantheons surrounding heaven have taken action. Our spies and scouts have observed significant changes in their army structure. Seraphal proceeded to explain the full scope of the situation to Zekrom, who listened intently. The recent leak of holy energy from heaven into the human world had taken the surrounding pantheons by surprise. What was once a tense but manageable standoff had now shifted dramatically. The pantheons had transitioned from a state of readiness to attack to a defensive posture, fearing that the angels of heaven might have either regained their former glory or surpassed it entirely. In response, massive armies were being mobilized along the borders and within various pocket dimensions, preparing for any potential attack from heaven. The goal was to ensure that they could effectively counter any aggression from heaven and protect their territories. Additionally, there was concern regarding Grigori. With the rise in holy energy on Earth, Falbium had ordered an investigation to uncover Grigori's hidden base. The aim was to assess whether they too had grown stronger, so that the Underworld could respond appropriately when an attack was inevitably launched. Zekrom had no objections to this directive and even offered his support by sending his own personal guards to assist in the search for Grigori. However, the situation within the Underworld itself had also become increasingly complex. Despite having substantial control over the Underworld, with many soldiers stationed along the borders to create a defensive barrier, other pantheons connected to the Underworld were beginning to muster their own armies. Their goal was to expand their territories within the Underworld. Most concerning was the fact that both the Shinto and Hindu pantheons were preparing for potential conflict as well. "What?" Zekrom exclaimed. His shock evident. Serafal nodded grimly. "Yes, both the Shinto and Hindu pantheons are gearing up for war with us. And if that wasn't troubling enough, there are also rumors that the Chinese pantheon might launch an attack on the Underworld. They could strike directly or use us as a means to access either the Shinto or Hindu forces. Both the Hindu and Shinto pantheons are among the most powerful in the world, with the Hindu pantheon often regarded as the strongest. However, the Bible pantheon, with its significant boost in power from the faith currently directed toward heaven, might have surpassed the Hindu pantheon in strength. The Shinto pantheon ranks just behind the Hindu pantheon, tied for second with the Chinese pantheon, before heaven's rise. This strong position is due to the high levels of faith still prevalent in Japan, which have not significantly declined over time. The Shinto pantheon is particularly formidable, and recent events have further bolstered their power. They have regained faith levels that had diminished over the centuries. This makes the Shintos a feared opponent, especially if they were to clash with the Devil faction. Currently, the Chinese pantheon is the third strongest. If the Hindu, Shinto, and Chinese pantheons were to battle in the Underworld, the resulting damage would be immense, whether collateral or intentional, particularly if they were to confront the Devil faction. Witnessing the gravity of the situation, Zekrom, unable to contain his frustration, inadvertently released some of his power, causing his chair to start disintegrating. Serafal quickly noticed this and intervened. "Lord Baal, I recommend you rein in your power to avoid destroying your chair," she advised. Zekrom, acknowledging her advice, gradually contained his power again, striving to remain calm as he addressed the Satan. "Thank you, Lady Leviathan, for the warning. There's no need for thanks, Lord Baal." "Understood. Given the current situation with the three pantheons, what is Lord Asmodeus planning to do?" Quote. In response, Serafal presented a map of the Underworld, highlighting areas connected to the three pantheons. At the moment, Fabi Chan has considered multiple strategies. The most likely plan is to keep Sirzechs, Ajuka, and himself out of the conflict with heaven. Instead, he would lead separate armies to each key location. This strategy aims to A. Deter any of the pantheons from engaging in war with the Devil faction, or B. Minimize the damage inflicted upon our faction. Zekrom nodded, understanding the plan. The safety of the Devil faction is paramount, so he accepted the absence of three of the strongest players from the war effort. However, this plan will only be implemented if negotiations with the demons do not proceed smoothly. Then Lady Leviathan and Dehauser will lead the armies against heaven. Zekrom inquired. Yes, Serafal confirmed. This was agreed upon in our secret meeting. If the TeenFic.net Home Categories bookmark. Home the Saint of War Tensura x DxD, Chapter 21. Chapter 21. Previous next. Situation with the demons improves. Ajuka would also be deployed to fight heaven. Zekrom closed his eyes, contemplating the situation. He hoped fervently that everything was proceeding well with the other Satans. The survival of their race now depended heavily on making a favorable impression on the primordial demons. Purgatory. In Purgatory, a titanic battle raged across the dark lands. Explosions and bursts of power erupted and vanished in mere seconds, each display potent enough to obliterate entire countries. The frequency and intensity of these attacks were such that they created a chaotic symphony of destruction. For most factions, such displays of power would be alarming, prompting immediate intervention from higher-ranking members to prevent lasting damage. However, for the demons of Purgatory, this was merely a dramatic light show, barely worthy of concern. The demons, after all, were renowned as the ultimate battle maniacs in the world. Ruin of extinction. Sirzechs roared, unleashing a barrage of destruction orbs at his opponent. The demon, however, effortlessly dodged the attack and countered with a series of punches, which Sirzechs blocked with his arms crossed in an X formation. The demon, whose previously noble demeanor had been replaced with a wide, mocking grin, taunted Sirzechs, "Is this all? And you call yourselves Satans? How disappointing." He then coated his fist with hockey, ting, and delivered a powerful blow to Sirzechs' guard, sending him crashing to the ground and creating a massive dust cloud. As Sirzechs hit the ground, the demon fired multiple dark orbs at his location before performing a barrel roll to evade incoming attacks. In that fleeting moment, Sirzechs, surrounded by several destruction orbs, shot up to the demon and launched 2 orbs directly at him. Reacting swiftly, the demon generated barriers to deflect the orbs and closed in on Sirzechs. In an instant, he teleported to Sirzechs' side and kicked him in the head. Sirzechs, however, managed to move his head just in time. The 3 remaining orbs transformed into beams of pure destruction, aimed straight at the demon with lethal intent. The demon smirked at the oncoming beams. "Do you think this is enough to kill me?" Counter barrier. A sphere of blue light enveloped the demon, successfully blocking the beams. Undeterred, Sirzechs acknowledged the demon's superiority with a stoic expression. "I knew this wouldn't be enough to defeat you, so I prepared something special. Sword of Destruction." Quote. Sirzechs merged the last 2 orbs, shaping them into a sword of immense power. Infusing it with his own hockey, he forged a demonic sword of unparalleled strength, surpassing even the legendary Gram. The demon, observing Sirzechs' creation, couldn't help but smile mockingly. "Oh. Then how about this?" He clapped his hands together, drawing immense amounts of mana into his palms. When he separated them, a demonic sword of comparable power to Sirzechs' sword of destruction materialized before him. Sirzechs looked down, feeling a pang of shame at his own weapon. As he fought the demon, he had realized something significant. In terms of pure stats, this demon is weaker than me, he thought, analyzing their battle. Despite his superior physical and magical capabilities, Sirzechs found himself overwhelmed by the demon. The reason for this disparity became evident through their fight. In terms of efficiency and finesse, he's far superior. The demon's combat style was marked by remarkable efficiency and seamless execution. His magical manipulation and fighting techniques demonstrated superior knowledge and skill, allowing him to match and even surpass a more powerful opponent. This level of mastery unsettled Sirzechs, not because of the demon's power, but due to a more disturbing thought. If this demon is so skilled, then what about Pope Seal? It's said that Seal has mastered all that the Church and Heaven have to teach, even surpassing the archangels, including Michael. Could Seal be even more formidable than this demon? Single quote. The thought was chilling. Sirzechs knew that the archangels of old, including Michael, Lucifer, and Gabriel, had existed since the time of God and had once fought and defeated the demons of purgatory. This historical context explained why demons primarily resided in purgatory and seldom ventured beyond. Although the specifics were unclear to devils like Zekram, Sirzechs understood that demons respected those who were stronger. Given this respect, he surmised that the old heaven must have been a much greater force than it is now. With Seal being described as a superior master even to the oldest archangels, it seemed reasonable to assume that Seal had surpassed him in efficiency. And now, with Seal being a super-class being and possessing such efficiency and finesse, combined with holy energy, it's safe to say that Seal is arguably the greatest weapon against the demonic races in the world. Single quote. The thought struck him with a sobering clarity, knocking him down a peg from his high horse. Although he was never one to be arrogant or deluded into thinking he was invincible, he had always been aware of those who were more powerful than him or who could match him. He was also acutely aware of the areas he needed to improve, such as leadership and politics. But now, recognizing another area where he needed growth and fully realizing the true danger posed by someone like Seal, he couldn't help but feel that he had overestimated his own abilities and underestimated the threat of the Pope of the Church. Lost in these thoughts, he failed to react to the demon's attack in time. The demon's strike sent him crashing into the nearest mountain, burying him under heaps of rock. The demon sneered with satisfaction before reducing his magical energy to nearly nothing. Addressing the Satan before him, he taunted, "You'd better take this fight seriously, Satan. If not, you might just die at the hands of this no-name demon." With a flick of his hand, a black cylindrical object appeared, an object known as an abyss core, the essence of nuclear magic. The demon infused the abyss core with his magic, breaking its seal. Instantly, the core became a ball of pure energy and heat, which he fired at the downed Satan. "Nuclear cannon!" he roared. The mountain was completely leveled, leaving nothing in its wake, except for the Satan. "Whistle, wow, you've got some spunk, I see. Let's see if you can keep this up," the demon said, preparing to fight seriously. He was no longer holding back, eager to end the battle swiftly and dismiss the man before him as unworthy of seeing his glorious master. Meanwhile, the Satan focused intently on his barrier, struggling to maintain control. His hands fell to his sides, as if signaling surrender. This display of apparent resignation did nothing to deter the demon. In fact, it might even have intensified his desire to destroy the Satan. But surrender was not truly the case. At that moment, the Satan's mind was elsewhere. Using magic to accelerate his thoughts 1,000-fold, he sought to keep up with the powerful demon. "I must improve. Far beyond my current strength," he thought, analyzing the demon's attacks, manipulation of haki, magical energy, and movements. He tried to absorb all this knowledge, pushing his mind and body to their limits. Such intense mental and physical strain would normally be fatal, overwhelming the mind before it could adapt. Yet, Sirzechs, hailed as the greatest genius the devil faction had ever naturally produced, was different. His skills and experience, fitting for his position as Satan Lucifer, had waned since the end of the Civil War, as he had ceased serious training. Now, facing a grave threat to his faction, Sirzechs cursed himself for his previous complacency. Yet, from this self-reproach arose a formidable will, surpassing even the days of the Devil's Civil War. He was reborn as an embodiment of pure destruction. Unlike before, where his immense power leaked uncontrollably, he now emitted no such signs. The demon noticed this change with surprise and intrigue but remained pleased. "Interesting. Let's end this farce. ... Elsewhere in Purgatory, the battle between Ajuka and the Black Demon raged on. While Ajuka's powers weren't as flashy as those of his best friend, they were no less impressive to an ancient demon like his opponent. The Black Demon, accustomed to the grim and somber nature of Purgatory, found Ajuka's fighting style both intriguing and engaging. Ajuka unleashed volleys of pure demonic energy towards the Black Demon, who effortlessly swatted the attacks away before closing in on Ajuka. The Black Demon launched a barrage of punches and kicks, forcing Ajuka to block and parry with all his might. Despite his best efforts, Ajuka struggled against the superior strength, technique, and skill of his opponent. As Ajuka was pummeled, he created a multitude of magical spells around him and directed them toward the demon. Instinctively, the demon grabbed Ajuka and used him as a shield against the incoming spells. Ajuka was momentarily stunned by this move but remained calm. Using his Kankara formula, he manipulated his own magic to miss him and redirect it toward the demon. The demon, sensing the change, smirked and delivered a powerful kick to Ajuka's back. Ajuka managed to block the kick with his battle will, but before the spells could hit the demon, they vanished into thin air, as if they had never existed. Ajuka was initially taken aback by this, but he quickly refocused on the fight. He analyzed the situation, noting the shift in energy and the altered surroundings. This must be some sort of ability, he thought, trying to understand how it worked. He released a considerable amount of magical energy into the air and shaped it into various types of magic, hoping to find something that could affect the demon. However, as the spells approached, they vanished once more, deepening his confusion. The Black Demon, observing Ajuka's growing bewilderment, sighed in disappointment. "Ha, to think you don't even know this at your level. How far have fighting techniques declined in the surface world since our entrapment in this dimension?" Quote. Ajuka, snapping his focus to the demon's words, asked urgently, "Wait. Are you saying anyone could use this ability of yours?" Quote. The demon nodded. "Of course. All one needs is the right knowledge and skill. Theoretically, anyone could use it. I don't know who might be able to use it now, but I'm confident that the angels of heaven could. After all, We based this art on their techniques. Upon hearing this revelation, Ajuka felt a surge of alarm. The existence of such an ability in Heaven's armory was unknown to them, and given the demon's serious demeanor and respect for the angels, Ajuka couldn't dismiss it outright. Why hasn't anyone known about this ability before now? He wondered. He considered 3 possibilities. 1. The angels may have kept the ability hidden as a trump card for when Heaven and the Vatican City face imminent danger from external threats. 2. The angels might have lost the ability to use this art for unknown reasons. 3. The ability could be restricted to the higher-ups of Heaven due to its complex and demanding nature. Since this is just an evaluation and not a fight to the death, I won't be using this ability. Consider yourself lucky for that, the demon said. As she spoke, the aura surrounding her dissipated, which Ajuka inferred might have been a barrier. The demon's words stung Ajuka's pride. It had been centuries since anyone had looked down on him, especially since his appointment as Satan Beelzebub. Nevertheless, he appreciated the opportunity to face such a formidable opponent, even if it underscored the vast difference between them. Determined to gain as much information as possible, Ajuka unleashed his own aura, enveloping himself and significantly boosting his physical capabilities. His primary goal was to analyze the barrier's properties. If the demon reneged on her word, Ajuka needed to be prepared to test different approaches, especially since magical attacks had proven ineffective. Well, it doesn't matter right now. My objective is to defeat you, Ajuka declared. With that, Ajuka went all out, fully committing to the battle. Both combatants, now fully engaged, shared a silent, mutual understanding.